It makes you wonder,
Uh,
are the so-called good characters really good? And are the wicked ones all bad?
it's all about perspective, and that's what Wicked does so well. Makes you think, question the stories you've been told.
Form your own opinions.
Yeah.
Not just accept what you're given.
Precisely, and I think the movie will spark those conversations even more about prejudice, corruption.
The power of individual choice. These themes. Welcome back to Witter. You know, deep dives for busy minds. We're diving into something wicked this time.
Wicked.
Wicked. The book, Wicked. The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West by Gregory Maguire.
Oh, right, the one that inspired the musical.
Exactly. And with the movie coming out this month, well, we thought it's the perfect time to revisit it.
Good call. It's a pretty amazing book, really makes you think.
Doesn't it? I mean, it turns everything we thought we knew about the Wicked Witch on its head.
Totally. Elphaba, that's her name. She's not just some cackling villain. She's complex.
Right. Misunderstood.
Exactly. Maguire does a brilliant job of showing how she becomes the Wicked Witch.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Elphaba's birth. Not exactly a typical birth, right?
Oh, yeah. Green skin, sharp teeth.
I can only imagine everybody's were like, whoa, what just happened?
Understatement. Some of them actually wanted to, well, let's just say they weren't thrilled.
Yikes. It was pretty harsh.
It sets the stage for Elphaba's whole life, though, doesn't it? Like being an outsider.
Definitely. Judged for something she can't control. And her parents.
They try to hide her green skin, but that only makes things worse for her.
Right. It adds to her feeling like she's different, like she doesn't belong. Shame, isolation, all that.
Even Nanny, who basically raises Elphaba, she's torn between protecting her and, conforming to societal expectations.
Makes you think, doesn't it? About how we all face those pressures to fit in.
Absolutely. It's a universal struggle. Then we have this new character, Turtleheart.
Right. The charismatic glassblower.
Hey.
From Quadling Country, one of the 4 regions of Oz.
And each region has its own culture, its own political system. It's a complex world Maguire creates.
Oh, for sure. I love how Elphaba's dad, Frex, explains it all to Turtleheart.
Using a diagram in the dirt.
So simple, but so effective.
And you can tell Frex is worried about the state of Oz, like the rise of the pleasure faiths.
Yeah, those new belief systems that prioritize, well, pleasure. Self-indulgence.
Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it?
Maybe a little. Frex sees it as a sign of societal decay, like turning away from traditional values.
Right. It's a timeless debate, isn't it? The tension between individual freedom and collective responsibility.
And it's a tension that Elphaba will grapple with throughout her life, as she tries to navigate a world that's quick to label her wicked.
Speaking of which, let's talk about Shiz University. That's where Elphaba ends up. Talk about a culture clash.
Oh, yeah. That's where she meets Glinda, who later becomes Glinda the Good Witch.
Right. And their first meeting is priceless. Glinda's obsessed with appearances and popularity. She's horrified to be roommates with the green-skinned Elphaba.
Well, I can just imagine. Such a classic setup, the clash of personalities.
But it's also about so much more than that. It highlights the superficiality of Ozian society.
Totally. Like how easily someone can be judged based on how they look.
Exactly. And at Shiz, Elphaba encounters another important character, Dr. Dillamond, a goat professor. He's fighting for animal rights.
Animals with a capital A. That's important, right?
Huge. It means he's talking about sentient beings in Oz, talking goats and lions.
Right, like him.
Yeah.
And these animals are being stripped of their rights.
It's a major theme in the book. And there's this scene, it's so powerful, where Dr. Dillamond brings a caged lion cub to class.
Yeah, I remember that. Sparks this huge debate about animal cruelty and exploitation.
And Elphaba, always the outspoken one, she's totally against it.
Makes sense. She's always stood up for those who are marginalized, silenced.
And this scene, it's a turning point for her. Solidifies her commitment to fighting for what she believes in.
But it's more than just animal rights, isn't it?
It's about all the injustices happening in Oz, the systematic oppression, the abuse of power.
Wow. So Dr. Dillamond really opens Elphaba's eyes to what's really going on.
He makes her question everything about good and evil, about who deserves power and who gets silenced.
It makes you wonder if those in power are truly good.
Right, and it's this awakening that starts Elphaba down the path to becoming the Wicked Witch.
See, that's what I love about Maguire's writing. He makes you question everything.
Absolutely. He turns the whole hero villain thing on its head.
And he forces us to look at ourselves, at our own assumptions.
Like, are we so quick to judge, to label people, to accept the stories we're told?
Deep stuff, man. Deep stuff.
And we're just getting started. Elphaba's journey is far from over.
There's so much more to uncover. Her family, her relationship with Fiyero, the political turmoil in Oz.
We'll dive into all of that after a quick word from our sponsors. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Witter. Now, where were we? Ah, yes. Elphaba at Shiz University, discovering that Oz isn't quite the magical utopia she thought it was.
Right. It's like she's starting to see the cracks in the facade, the corruption, the prejudice.
And it really puts her friendship with Glinda to the test. You know, the future Glinda the Good Witch.
Oh, yeah. Talk about a clash of personalities. Elphaba the rebel, Glinda the social climber.
It's like their relationship becomes a microcosm of the divisions in Ozian society. Those who conform and those who challenge the status quo.
It's a struggle, for sure. Trying to stay true to yourself while navigating those social expectations. And it's interesting how Maguire uses their friendship to explore that dynamic.
Absolutely. Glinda, she's caught between her affection for Elphaba and her desire to maintain her popularity. It's something we can all relate to, right?
Totally. Wanting to fit in, not wanting to rock the boat. But what makes their friendship so compelling is that it endures despite their differences.
Right. Even when their paths diverge, there's still that genuine connection, a recognition that things aren't always black and white. Speaking of things not being black and white, let's talk about Elphaba's family. They add another layer of complexity to the story.
Oh, yeah. Her family is a mess. Her father, Frex, he's so devout, so rigid in his beliefs. And her mother, Melina, she's more concerned with appearances than anything else.
It's a recipe for conflict, that's for sure. And then there's Nessarose, Elphaba's younger sister. She was born with a physical disability.
Yeah. And Elphaba feels so responsible for her, almost like she's trying to make up for the fact that she was born different.
But there's this twist. Elphaba discovers that her mother took a potion during her pregnancy with Nessarose.
A potion? What for?
To prevent Nessarose from being born with green skin.
Wow. That changes everything. It makes you wonder if the potion somehow caused Nessarose's disability.
Right. It raises all these questions about family secrets, about the lengths people will go to for social acceptance, and the unintended consequences of our actions.
It's pretty heavy stuff, but it also shows how skilled Maguire is as a writer. Like, even the smallest details have this ripple effect on the story.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how relevant the themes of this book still are. Prejudice, political corruption, the abuse of power, these are issues we're still grappling with today.
Totally. Like, Maguire had this uncanny ability to tap into these timeless human struggles. Questions about identity, belonging, and what it really means to be good in a world that's often anything but.
And he does it all with such wit and imagination. I mean, the world of Oz, as he depicts it, is just incredible.
Right. It's familiar, but also strange and fantastical, full of these amazing creatures and political intrigue, and it reflects our own world in some pretty surprising ways.
Definitely. And one of the things that really struck me is how Maguire subverts our expectations. He takes these iconic characters from The Wizard of Oz and gives them this whole new depth.
Oh, yeah. Like Dorothy, her arrival in Oz, it's not just a random thing. It's tied to Elphaba's past.
Right. And it's connected to her family's relationship with the wizard, which adds this whole other layer of intrigue.
And I never thought about it that way.
It's like Maguire's challenging us to rethink everything we thought we knew about Oz, to see it from a different perspective.
And to question the stories we've been told. Like, what if the Wicked Witch wasn't really wicked at all?
Exactly. What if she was just misunderstood? Or even demonized by those in power? It really makes you think about who we label as heroes and villains.
It's a powerful message, that's for sure. And it's one of the things that makes Wicked so enduring. It challenges us to look beyond the labels and see the humanity in everyone, even those we might consider wicked.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that the world isn't black and white. Good and evil, they're often matters of perspective.
And that brings us to the musical Wicked, which has been captivating audiences for years now.
It's amazing how they took this complex novel and turned it into such a successful stage production.
And now the movie. which is sure to introduce a whole new generation to Elphaba's world.
I am excited to see how they bring it to the big screen, although, of course, the musical had to streamline some aspects of the novel.
Right. You can't fit everything into a stage production. Or even a movie, for that matter.
But I think the musical, like the book, really captures the essence of Elphaba's journey, her struggle for acceptance, her fight against injustice, and the complex relationships that shape her destiny.
And that's what resonates with so many people, isn't it? That sense of fighting for what you believe in, even when it's hard, even when you're labeled as different or wicked.
Totally. It's a message that's always timely, always relevant, and it's something we can all learn from.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up our Wicked deep dive, let's talk about the movie adaptation itself. What can we glean from the trailers and the buzz surrounding the film? Okay, so the movie. Big screen adaptation of Wicked. It looks like a visual feast.
Oh, yeah, the trailers are amazing. Maguire's Oz, it's so vivid.
All those creatures, landscapes. Imagine seeing them come to life. The talking animals, flying monkeys.
And Emerald City. It's going to be spectacular, but I'm hoping they don't lose sight of the story's message.
Right, beyond the spectacle. It's
Yeah.
about challenging assumptions, embracing what makes us different.
Exactly, and fighting for what's right, even when it's tough.
That's what Wicked is all about. And it's so clever how Maguire takes those classic Wizard of Oz elements and gives them a twist.
Yeah, like he makes you rethink those characters, their roles, like the Scarecrow.
Longing for a brain.
What if that symbolizes something deeper, like the suppression of intellect, critical thinking?
Interesting. And what about the Tin Man? Always yearning for a heart.
Maybe he represents the loss of empathy, compassion, in a society obsessed with power, control.
I like that. And the Cowardly Lion, always seeking courage. Does he reflect the fear that keeps people from speaking out?
Could be. Maguire uses these familiar figures to explore so much more about human nature, the forces shaping our world.
It makes you wonder, are the so-called good characters really good? And are the wicked ones all bad?
It's all about perspective, and that's what Wicked does so well, makes you think, question the stories you've been told.
Form your own opinions.
Yeah.
Not just accept what you're given.
Precisely, and I think the movie will spark those conversations even more about prejudice, corruption.
The power of individual choice. These themes, they resonate today, just like when the book came out.
Absolutely. So as we finish up our Wicked deep dive, think about this. Is Elphaba really wicked? Or just a product of her environment?
And how do we judge others so easily with labels? What does it mean to be good in a world that often rewards conformity?
Big questions. No easy answers. But Wicked helps us explore them.
Whether you revisit the book, catch the musical, or see the movie, keep those questions in mind. Keep thinking.
That's what a good story does. Sparks curiosity, challenges your assumptions.
Maybe even helps you see the world a little differently.
Well said. So, Witter listeners, that's our deep dive into Wicked. Hope you enjoyed it.
Keep those minds busy. Keep diving deep. We'll be back soon with another topic to explore. Until then, thanks for listening.